Welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast. We're your wellness check-in team. Join us each week or when you can. We enjoy exploring wellness concepts and reminding you to make time for wellness.
This is episode 95.
We hope our territorial acknowledgement improves allyship with Indigenous people within a reconciliation process. We're on the Haldeman Tract, located on the traditional territories of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. We acknowledge the presence and traditional knowledge, laws, and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land. It's another week of Let's Be Well Together podcast. I'm John Webster. I'm here with Sheila Webster. Hi, Sheila.
Hi, John. I'm so happy to be here.
We are, believe it or not, approaching episode 100. It just blows my mind.
Blows my mind. 100 episodes every single week without a break.
And 104 means 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Which secretly was kind of my goal, to do 2 years worth of episodes. And I wasn't sure if we'd have the logistics and ability and to be able to do all that. You know, work gets in the way, life gets in the way, but we've been able to do it. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, you should be, because you did most of the work.
It reminds me of when you were running your own studio. And I think I've told this story before, but at one point we had some new privacy legislation come out in Ontario, and there was someone who worked at this massive corporation, and some little thing happened at the studio. I can't remember what, but she came in and said something like, "What is your privacy policy?
Let me see your privacy policy."
Right. And what's your committee say or something? And it's like, well, I could meet with the janitor and the accountant and the scheduler and the seamstress, but I'm all that same person.
It's all me. I do all that.
We did have one, by the way, because I'm a lawyer, so I had a privacy policy. But that's kind of like the podcast where I do all the social media and all the write-ups and the website and the music. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, it's really...
We digress. What's on your mind today?
Well, I thought we could start with talking about physical wellness and how when you're working out and you've got this rhythm going and you're eating well, and then all of a sudden something happens, you get busy or you get injured and you have to step back, and then all of a sudden you stop going or you just lose that rhythm.
Kind of the story of my life.
Yeah, me too.
Story of my life. Well, I think you're way better at it because you've always kind of gone to the gym regularly, which is one of the reasons I started doing it, because I see you continually doing it. And so you seem to recover faster, but I'm one of those people where, so like you say, I'm all of a sudden I'm in a groove. And this happened a few months back. I was not only running, I was eating healthy, and I was doing weight training in the morning. Then I got an injury, my back. So I stopped doing the weight training for a while. And then, I don't know, there was some holiday or something, and I started eating a little too much. And now I'm just doing my running, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm back to square one. And the point is, you kind of have to check in again. Like, it's just so easy with physical health to kind of find other things that take your time. And next thing you know, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to work out. And
I also think it's an excuse. You find excuses to not, right? Because your back hurts. Oh, maybe it's still not great, or, things like that. You find excuses to not get back into it.
Why did we evolve this way? It makes no sense to me. Like, another one too is, why did we evolve in a way that we have to eat so little to stay healthy? It's so easy. But anyway, the whole point about all this is you do have to keep checking in. You have to make a mental effort to, whether you put it on your calendar, whether you're one of those people that can just do it mentally. You got to check in on a regular basis and ask yourself, am I keeping up my physical health? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I eating in moderation? Am I exercising, aerobics, strength?
Yeah, so I was thinking about that, actually, and it made me think of your whole wellness idea, your 8 categories of wellness, and how it's not just physical that we should be checking in on, that we should be checking in on all 8 of our categories, or for other people, maybe more or less, and do a wellness check-in, not just a physical wellness check-in.
No, exactly. And that's that's the whole kind of point. And that's why physical is such a great analogy. I think so many people can imagine that scenario. Everything's firing on all cylinders, and then they stop, and then it's so hard to get back into it. That's happening potentially in each of your categories of wellness.
So don't you think you should list the categories of wellness?
It's a good idea. And for anyone who's interested, again, go to our website, letsbewelltogether.com, and you'll easily be able to find the 8 categories, but I'll just read through them: mental, artistic, environmental, spiritual, physical, intellectual, economic, and social. And when you're doing a check-in, for example, when it comes to physical health, what we were just talking about, in my book, Accidentally Well, I talk about 7 different kind of questions you can ask yourself.
Yeah.
And you might have more, but when you do your check-in, these are questions. And one of them is about the trade-offs, which will pick up on what you're missing. So one of the questions is, am I trading off wellness in one facet by devoting significant time to another? Is the trade-off worth it? If I'm missing out on some facets now, is it worth continuing what I'm doing, or should I bring more balance back now? And
Excellent.
And when it comes to physical, if you are prioritizing other stuff, so you're not exercising, you're not eating right and all that stuff, you got to ask yourself if you need to be bringing it back in. And I would suggest when it comes to physical, the answer is yes.
Right.
And the same thing happens in other categories.
Okay, so let's try one.
Okay, which one?
Let's do social.
All right. And just to be fair, I knew we were going to talk about this, so I did grab my book. I'm just going to read out the bullet points that I associate with social wellness that I've put on my list so far. In order to enhance social wellness, spend time with family, friends, and others. Be part of a support network. Show respect for others and be there for people when they need you. Develop intimacy. Share thoughts, feelings, and ideas. Communicate effectively. Be part of and contribute to the community. You ask yourself, when you're going through your kind of check-in, where's my social wellness at? And these are some of the activities that you can think about. I'm sure you're a very social person. You could probably list some other activities, but you have to ask yourself, the activities that make me feel good on a social wellness level, have I been doing them? And if not, what's been occupying my time?
Yeah, no, I was listening to those and I was like, oh, that's really interesting because yes, I'm very social, but I can imagine if I get really busy or when I get really busy at work, I get less social. When I'm stressed at work, I don't communicate with my coworkers. I'm not asking them how they are or, asking them about their day. And I think that's all really important just to make people feel better.
I agree. And my problem, for example, too, is I'm not a social person. So my instinct is to be off by myself and not do those things. So if I'm not checking in on social wellness, I got big problems. And by the way, I've talked about this quite a bit lately. I'm putting myself in a position where I'm kind of forcing a little socialness, even in a not overly spoken way, which is I'm taking the bus a lot.
Right.
And I don't know, I just feel like I'm kind of living a more full life when I just get in contact with a lot of people.
Because you're socializing with people and I feel like you're almost socializing with society. Like you feel like you're involved in everyone else's everyday activities as well. You're not just doing your own thing and going along. And so I think that's really cool. What
I like about it, I was thinking about this the other day, is if I were to drive to work by myself, I'm in my car by myself and it's a pretty short trip and I just get from point A to point B. It was basically just kind of a gray blank space in my day. Nothing memorable at all, no experiences. But just by putting myself out there, I have to stand at the bus stop and people go by and it makes me think, I don't know, like what's going on. And then I'm on the bus and there's more people and there's interaction. And I don't know, it just, instead of having this gray spot in my day, I've had a life experience.
And it's just like the whole balance check-in. Is the extra time that you have to spend on the bus worth the experience that you're getting socially? So doing that little check-in makes you more aware of what's going on in your life.
Which is a big piece of the puzzle. Being self-aware and making intentional, informed choices instead of just letting life happen to you. So I think what I'm going to do, just because we're talking about this, I think it's time. People have been listening for a while. We talked about this on the early podcast, but that's almost 2 years ago. I think I'm going to start hijacking running pop-up for a little while.
Yep.
That's the word you use when you do the retired artist for camp.
Hijack.
I'm going to start hijacking my running pop-up occasionally, and I'm going to start working through my approach to wellness.
Yeah.
It turns out that I'm starting to do presentations on the topic too.
Right.
I'm going to be presenting to our local law association on December 5th, my approach to wellness and my wellness journey and how I got to where I am and how now I have this practical way to work towards balance and wellness. And so I'm kind of in a good position now to come back to it and start working my way through it. So I think I might do that.
I think that's a really good idea because, again, you got to check in. Like physically, we all know we have to check in. Am I working out? Oh, I have been putting this off. And nutritionally, am I eating healthy? Am I eating out too much? So you need to do this other check-in and just be aware. It's a great idea. I just love it.
It's just crazy how we're designed. It's too easy to fall off stuff. And so now we're going to do a check-in on the check-in.
Perfect.
Guests are giving their time, expanding our minds.
Today's interview is about looking for balance. Our listeners know Sammy Damaren. She took a break from our podcast earlier in 2023 as her way of working towards balance because she started new businesses, was working multiple jobs, was settling into a new house, and more. Sheila and I just talked about checking in on wellness in the last segment, and it's great to check in with Sammy. Welcome back, Sammy.
Hi.
We know Sammy Damaren as a founding co-host of our show, and without her, we wouldn't be here. She's busy at work these days as the office marketing and events manager at Flux Realty, the owner and creative director at West Haus Studio, and teaching dance at Underdog Dance Corp. Growing up in the vibrant arts community in the KW region, Sammy loves collaborating with fellow artists and has a deep appreciation for the arts and the power of creative expression. Sammy's West Haus Studio business is the fulfillment of that passion, enabling her to team up with local artists and channel creativity into diverse projects. It could be organizing events, crafting imaginative installations, or embarking on exciting content experiments. Sammy celebrates and promotes the significance of the arts, all while providing a safe and fun space where everyone can freely express themselves. And Sammy, it's great to catch up. So can you tell us a little bit about what you've been up to?
Yeah, I've been up to quite a bit, as you've just let everybody know. I have my regular 9 to 5 with Flux Realty. So that's kind of doing office management, administration tasks, but at the same time doing content creation, social media, and then planning like their client appreciation events. So the most recent one we did was like our pumpkin and pies event. So it's around Thanksgiving and everybody comes, lots of pumpkins, lots of pies, live music, got some pierogies, and yeah, lots of fun. This year we actually had face painting and balloon twisting. So I feel like every year it gets a bit bigger and we have a little bit more for people. And then, yeah, on top of that, this past year, so March 2023 is when we bought West Haus Studio, which was already its own business. So we took over that business, which is a creative studio in downtown Kitchener. And it's going great. I'm learning kind of like the ins and outs of owning a business. It's a creative studio, which basically means like a lot of photographers rent the space and then they use it. They bring in clients and then do like engagement shoots, maternity shoots, family, all of that. But on top of it, people will have events there, like small, intimate events. Yeah. And then on top of that, I kind of come in and I do installations. So I will work with like local artists and local florists and to create these like fun things to get people to keep coming back.
So an installation, that would be something where you'd bring something in and then other people can then come in and use the space with those flowers or art there, taking photos or whatever.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah. So how I kind of explain the space too, to like a lot of people that call in wondering what it is, I say it's like an Airbnb, but for creative people.
Okay.
So they come in, they book it online. So it's pretty hands off for the booking side of things, unless people call with questions. For the most part, they come in, they have a code to enter the studio. So I give them their 1-day code. They go in for the hour, up to 8 hours or a full day if they really want. Use it as long as they put everything back where they found it. I'm happy, they're happy. Perfect. And then they post their stuff on social media, use it for portfolios. And then, yeah, so if the installation, so right now we have 2 Christmas installs up. One is like a woodland theme and the other one's more of a nostalgic theme. So if they rent the space during this time, they'll get access to both of those. And then they can also not use it if they want to just use it for headshots or something more business portfolio stuff. But a lot of people come in and they have a lot of fun with the installs, and I love seeing it too.
And do they tend to take photos of people with those sets, or do they take photos of the sets to use in other things, other art?
A lot of them will bring people in. So especially around Christmas, we get a lot of like Christmas minis. So a lot of the photographers that use the space, they'll advertise, you get 15 to 20 images for $150, 15-minute sessions. So you kind of come in and they'll book the space for 4 hours. They get a bunch of people within those 15-minute segments. And then they'll get that. I always have a photographer right after we do the install come in and get those like detail shots so I can use it for marketing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And you also are teaching?
Yes. And I'm also teaching dance at Underdog. Last year I was teaching at 2 studios. So I did back away from the one because consolidate into one because it was so much, like, especially the other one was in Cambridge and it was just a bit of a drive. And Cambridge, you sometimes hit that traffic and
on the way.
I hate driving. So
for people not from around here, there's only a short stretch of highway between Kitchener and Cambridge, but that can be smooth sailing or it could be really delayed.
Yeah. And I find people now too, there's like driving is just like, there's so many cars on the road and I'm not the most confident driver. So getting on the 401, I'm just like already nervous. So having to do that twice a week was just like not good for me. I was just like so anxious getting there. But Underdog is Uptown Waterloo, so much closer to me. I really like the vibe and the energy there. It's all their Underdog, like that's the name. So it's all kind of people that maybe have never danced before or they've danced 10 years ago and are looking for classes. So it's all adult classes, which is really fun. And they get to like try new things. And I find it very like judgment-free zone. Like everybody's just cheering everybody on, whether you're the best dancer in the class or like fresh and brand new. Like it's just so fun to see people gain that confidence just by entering the space. I've had students that have been with me since my first class. It's almost been 1.5 years now that I've been teaching there. So I've had people with me since then and I've seen their progress. And it's really nice to see like adults like putting themselves out there because it can be really scary to like try new things as an adult. As a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, you're like, we'll do anything. You kind of don't have that like fear of looking silly. Right. But adults, like they do. They'll come in and they'll be a little bit nervous. I can tell they're timid. And I've, taught them for 10 sessions and they're so confident standing up in the front, like helping other people who are new. And yeah, it's a very like inclusive space, which I love about it. Because sometimes I love dance. I've always danced my whole life. But when you're in that competitive realm, it's not always the most inclusive and open place, especially when you're in the competitive studios or competitions. It's always who's the best. You're being judged on that. Like this is very much, we're just here to have fun, move our bodies and dance, which I've always told people to dance.
It sounds amazing. And, a couple kind of spins on that. So I saw Sheila, who ran a dance business over the years, and I saw, sure, there's great things about comp.
Definitely.
But I loved a lot of the stuff about rec too. And so rec would just be the people who aren't trying to do competitive. Yeah. And I get your point about being adults too, how that's even a little bit more nervous. Yeah. But I love the fact that people can express themselves, they can exercise, they can show their artistic side and really enjoy something and get past that. And then on the other side of it, I think about running, right? So I run a lot, big runner, always talking about running. Yeah. I am not a comp runner. I'm a rec runner.
Right.
I'm going slow and I just love it. And so it's great that people have that chance to just love the dance too.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's really nice to like, I think teach adults too, because they're showing up with like a purpose. Sometimes you teach kids. And again, I love all my kids that I've taught in the past years, but sometimes their parents are putting it on them. So they show up with more of the, I have to be here, and don't kind of like appreciate the time and energy that like the teachers are putting into creating these pieces for them versus, all of my adult students, they're like, this is my favorite time of my whole week. They're like, I look forward to my Tuesdays, and they'll like thank me, and it's their idea to be here. So they show up for themselves instead of showing up for other people that are kind of like pushing it on them. It's really like rewarding to see that.
I guess the other thing, which is cool too, Sheila used to like to do this. You can then hang out. You can, class is over. You're like, hey,
go
what's
get a
going
drink.
on? Or even go get a drink. It's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So you got 3 jobs and you must also be doing other things in your life. And so for example, how's the house going?
Yeah, house is going great.
Must be settled in by now.
Definitely settled in. There's still like some little things, like the holes in our baseboards are still not filled. And we're just like, you look at it, you're like, this is such a easy thing to do, but it's also such a daunting and big project. So we're just kind of like, maybe one year when we're selling, we'll get to that. Like nobody notices it. They come in.
They might not notice when the people come to buy either.
Exactly. Right. Like maybe that's their job. Yeah. But for the most part, it's feeling homey and it's looking good. And we,
Are you doing any kind of regular extracurriculars, whether it be gym or fun stuff?
Yeah. I've actually recently gotten back into the gym.
Awesome.
Yeah. It took me a while because of all this stuff, trying to balance everything and trying to, just like sort my life out and make sure I'm not like overstressed. And I always found if I pushed myself too hard, I would get sick or I would randomly have allergic reactions. And I'm like, would go to an allergist and they'd be like, you're allergic to nothing. And I'm like, I think I'm allergic to stress. Like when my body overstresses, like my eyes blow up, I get hives. And so really trying to listen to my body. But now I started going back to the gym a little bit more regularly and I'm really enjoying it. I got this app that's kind of like a personal trainer app.
Nice.
But like way cheaper. And there's like a group that you're a part of and you take
will it tell you, for example, do this set of exercises?
Exactly. Yeah. Like she's in my ear, like telling me what to do. And so there's each week a new set of exercises come out. And when you get the app, you choose like what are your goals? Right. So for me, kind of like toning, just becoming a bit more fit. I'm not too worried about losing like an insane amount of weight. I more just want to tone my body.
Right.
Feel good. And then they ask you if you want a male or a female trainer. And then you ask you what kind of equipment do you want to use? And then from there,
what do you like? Do you like free weights or machines?
I really like free weights. I'd say I'm a free weight person.
I'm a dumbbell person.
Yeah, dumbbell.
More so than I don't have barbell at home.
Yeah.
But if I'm at the gym and I can get access to one.
Definitely.
But I like being able to use dumbbells because I seem to have more access.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm very similar. And there's so many dumbbells compared to barbells. You do have to like wait. But I use barbells, dumbbells, do a lot of body weight.
Yeah, I like body weight too.
Yeah, body weight. And then I'll do like their yoga classes or spin classes.
On the app or at the
gym?
Okay.
That's just at the gym. But yeah, on the app, I chose more of like the free weights, bands. I think I put maybe some machines, but I'm not like, I don't like the treadmill just because I'm afraid I'm going to be one of those people that falls off and is on TikTok. Like I'm going to go viral for the wrong reasons.
Well, isn't it any press is good press?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. No. But yeah, so then after you do their whole questionnaire, then they give you a bunch of different trainers and then they have videos and you can kind of see like, the one that I'm doing, it's called like Team Iconic and she is a lot more of like toning your body, a lot of free weights versus the other one I was looking at was more of like a Pilates inspired workouts.
Okay.
So I went for this one and then you can always change teams. You can try different things. And yeah, it's really nice. She's in my ear.
That's awesome.
Connected to Spotify. It's great.
All right. So and there's probably lots more other things you're doing. So, I have this framework I like to think about. Mm-hmm. If you think now you're busy. It sounds like you're bringing the physical back in, which means probably have a little more balance.
Yeah, definitely.
But are there things you're still missing out on? And do you think you'll be able to bring them back in and when?
Yeah, I would say like for the most part, I'm making time for the things that really like I feel like I need. So like social, making time for like my friends that are, that mean a lot to me and that like I always say fill my cup versus take away from it. So if I'm hanging out with somebody and after I feel like exhausted, I kind of know like maybe this isn't somebody I need to like incorporate in my life every week. But then I have other people I hang out with where I always feel more energized after that. And I feel really good and like inspired to like keep going with everyday life, So I kind of, things that fill my cup is what I'm gravitating towards. So a lot of social time and then physical. I try to do mental as well, whether that's just yoga or just like taking some time. I started, a paint by number kit, like something just for me, going on walks with Lexi, I really enjoy. And then also making time for like my relationship with David and with my family. But stuff I'm definitely missing out on looking at your wheel. For sure, spiritual. I'm not the most spiritual person. So I'd say the most time I get into like that spiritual mindset is when I'm doing yoga or when I'm having conversations about other people and their spiritual journeys, or whether that's yoga or meditation or religion. Like I find I really enjoy talking about it. I just don't get fully into it myself.
It's interesting though, because so much depends on what it means.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So some people are religious, but a lot of times lately I've been talking to lots of people about connections. That spiritual in part is recognizing that there's more than just yourself, and you're connected to other people. You're connected to space, to the ground, to the environment. You've got all these connections. And you've always been a really social person.
It's true.
So maybe, that being social and being connected and feeling connected and looking for those connections, talking to people about the things you're saying you're talking about, maybe for you that is spiritual in a way.
Yeah. No, that I've never thought of it that way. So that's maybe I am spiritual.
Yeah.
Take it back.
I'm at the point where, obviously if someone's religious and they feel that faith, that's fantastic. Lots of people aren't in that context. And so I'm at the point where I'm trying to be a lot more open-minded about how you can kind of fill that spiritual cup, if that's the way you're going to pronounce it. And
definitely,
I'm thinking a lot about connections and trying to find a way to do the right thing, to be with people and all that stuff. So who knows? Maybe that's the answer.
Yeah.
You look great. Like I can tell you've got a bit of a glow.
Oh, thanks.
So I think
it's my skincare routine.
I'm guessing that you are at a pretty good place right now.
Yeah.
You're back to the gym and business is going well, and you're finding a way to do 3 jobs. It sounds crazy to me, by the way.
I know. A lot of people tell me that, and I'm like, I don't know how I do it.
Things seem to be going well, and so it's fantastic. And hopefully at a certain point you can come back and do a few more segments with us when that fits into your schedule and you can keep the balance.
Yeah, definitely.
So as part of the interview, I was going to ask you about kind of what's out of whack, but as you know, we ask the same question to every guest. So I may as well just fit it in right now and we can see if there's another side to things. Yeah. And in a context where we have lots of areas of wellness and they're all important to us, but there's not enough time to focus on them at any given time, which you seem to know well what you're doing. We do this mini wellness check-in. Are you currently neglecting an area of wellness in your life? And if so, can you think of even one thing you can do to foster wellness in that area?
I would say I don't always focus on myself too much. I'm really like a focus on other people, make sure everybody around me is okay. And I would like sacrifice my well-being for somebody I love, which sounds great. Like I say it and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm such a good person. But obviously that's not it. It's just, I'm a people pleaser and I want to make sure that everybody else is happy. I'm also a middle child where that's kind of like, you become this like peacemaker and I do that. So it has nothing to do with if you're good or if you're bad or anything like that. It's really just who I am. And I'm trying to, this whole year, I've actually been trying to do a lot better with that, letting go of like control. And because sometimes I see people doing things that I like, am very close with. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, let me just tell you what to do and it will be great. But I know that's not how life works and they need to figure it out. And I can provide advice when asked, but like if I have the only thing I have control over is myself. So there's no point in like having anxiety and getting upset about things I can't control when like it's like trying to control the weather. Like there's no point in getting upset when it's raining. You just kind of have to accept it. So trying to focus, put more energy into myself. And I have like a journal that gives me prompts. It will ask me a question because I'm not great at just like free writing. I need like somebody to say like, what do you feel about this?
I think you have to find what works for you.
Yeah. So I think like doing something more like that and focusing more on my own mental health versus everybody else's is something I am lacking, but am aware of and am trying to do better.
I hope you do. So
yeah.
I do hope that you find time for yourself. And I remember a quote I saw recently. I'm going to twist it a little bit. But essentially the quote said, it's very, very difficult to find happiness and balance within yourself, but you can't find it anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If you're not happy, like,
you're not going to get it from those other people. You might get joy by helping those people.
Yeah.
But if you really want to find that balance, you've got to work on it yourself. It's hard work. Well, it's fantastic to check in with you and hear how you're doing. It sounds amazing.
Thank you.
And good luck with all that stuff.
Thanks.
I'm Cameron, and welcome to another installment of the Adventures of the Starving Artist. Choir has been a part of my life for most of it. I've been singing in and around choirs since I was just a little kid. Started at the local church, went into a community choir as a kid, and then into the Immobile Choirs of London as a youth. And I stayed with them through adolescence and even up right till post-secondary. When I went off to college in the States, of course, I couldn't make the weekly rehearsals, but I still stuck with it, and I found myself a chamber choir there to join called Crepusculum. But today, this isn't about me so much. Alongside me through much of those choir days was my brother. And a few months ago, he auditioned and was accepted into the Capitol Chamber Choir here in Ottawa. Serious group, incredible singers, really talented all around. And so obviously that's exciting, but what I want to tell you about is an experience that we had together just this past week. So among other performances, the Capitol Chamber Choir was gearing up for a performance featuring a bunch of Latvian music, which is super cool, and to be performed, it was performed 2 days ago actually. But what was really neat was they had an open to the public rehearsal. So my brother invited me out along with a couple friends and my mom and her friend. And so I made my way there after work, and I got in just as they were getting started and took a seat at the back of the church. It's been a long time since I've been surrounded by chamber music in an acoustic space like that, where I haven't been performing it myself. So it was really nice for me to be an audience member for once. If you've never been to a choral concert, especially in a big church space like that, I really recommend you at least try once, because not only is the singing and the music beautiful, but the acoustics of the space just enhance the experience all around. You feel the bass. It's almost palpable, the sound. It's just a beautiful thing. I got goosebumps like 6 times. A couple pieces actually made me tear up. It's that kind of beauty, you know. But the one I wanted to tell you about, it's really neat. There's a piece they're doing, and I didn't catch the name of it, unfortunately. And it was in a language that I don't speak. So it may have been Latvian, but I can't confirm that. But the cool part about it was that some of the choristers were wielding wine glasses, each of which had been filled with a specific amount of water so as to achieve a specific pitch when they run their fingers along the rim, singing wine glasses. And so my brother had one of these too. I'd say about a third of the choristers did. And it was so cool. They would play these glasses, not all at once, because they were different notes, so they would get different chords, at the same time as singing. And it really got me thinking, like, it's such a lush, beautiful sound that so perfectly supports the voice. But what got me thinking is that in the world of modern audio production, which is the stuff that I tend to do more lately, the same sort of effect might be achieved with like a pad or even a certain keyboard patch to get that kind of lush ambient texture. And to hear them, the choristers execute such a technique live in the space with wine glasses, it was, I can't think of a better word, it was just special. And the coolest part is that wasn't even the concert. Like for them, this was still just rehearsal, right? I was blown away. I left there with the same feeling I get every time I leave a great concert. Inspiration, rejuvenation, and a little pep in my step. So if you happen to be in Ottawa, the Capitol Chamber Choir is putting together a few shows over the holiday season. December 20th and 21st, they'll be over at the NAC performing Handel's Messiah, which is pretty sweet. So I'll be checking that out to go support my brother and take in some great tunes. That's what I wanted to tell you today. A little bit of wine glass music, and it's nice to be an audience member for a change. That's all from me today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Cameron. This is The Starving Artist. Until next time.
We love our listeners and thanks for joining us. Please help spread the word about Let's Be Well Together podcast. Follow us and rate us on Spotify, Apple, Google, or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram at lets.be.well.together and let your friends know about us.
Move that body like we're meant to do.
Hello, everyone. It's Julie Wilson, and I'm here with Elise Seifert. And I want to talk about 7 ways to make your walks more intense and more interesting. So that's the title of an article, a CBC article, and it's by Janet Ho. It was published October 11th, 2022. And there are just some really interesting ways that we want to talk about. Thought maybe we could list them.
So in the article, we have speed up, mix in intervals, go uphill, gamify your routine, give race walking a go, focus on nasal breathing, and finally, go the distance.
So, Elise, out of those really interesting list, what would be your favorite way?
The one that stood out to me the most was actually gamify your routine. I think it's my favorite because it was so unexpected. I was looking at it and I was wondering, what could that possibly mean? So when they were talking about gamify your routine, they were talking about ways to make walking more fun. They used ideas such as setting out your own choose your adventure walk, where you're looking for cool cloud formations or a unique garden or a new coffee shop. So maybe something like a scavenger hunt is what came to my mind. Or maybe changing what you would do in the walk, such as going up and down the stairs, depending on the day of the week or the month. And I also had read setting personal goals of distance to gamify your routine. And I thought that was really cool. I know I've also seen some apps that you can use that can track your walking, and you'll receive medals based on how far you walked. So for example,
I love that.
If you've walked the distance of, let's say, the Great Wall of China, you'll get a medal mailed to you. I believe you have to pay for these services, but I think it's a really cool way to gamify your walk and to just make it more engaging and give yourself something kind of concrete to imagine that you're walking.
There are many areas where we live. We don't often explore them, but this would be a great way to set out a plan, as you said, to explore different neighborhoods in your own community. Because I don't know about you, but I tend to walk the same, more or less the same path. Sometimes I'll do it in reverse, but this way, if you set it out to be a fun game, quote unquote, of discovering the different neighborhoods, I really like that idea.
Me too. I know someone I was speaking to recently said that they were interested in going around the town and trying to find all of those public libraries that people have just in their neighborhood.
I like that.
Maybe you've seen them around before, but a lot of times people build a mini library and you can exchange books just within that neighborhood. So I thought, what a great way to get to know the place that you live by walking around every single street and trying to find each one and map it out. I thought that was a really fun, gamified way to increase your walk.
It must be true because we know different cities, when you go to visit them, there's often walking tours, and they call them the Discovery Walking Tours, right? And you go around and you try to locate maybe pieces of architecture or different signs or different paintings. So I just think you could really get creative in gamifying your routine.
Which of these ideas stood out to you to make your walk more intense and more interesting, Julie?
I think giving race walking a go. So I have never done that, but I love that idea. And I know there are different techniques to doing that. So I'm going to have to explore that a little more. But I'm not a runner, but maybe race walking might be something that I could aspire to do over the next little while. I don't know about through the Canadian winter, but maybe if over the winter I learn a little more and train a little bit, maybe I will give race walking a go.
It sounds like a fun way to kind of change up how you walk. I love watching on the Olympics when they do the race walking. It looks so interesting, and they really move at a good clip.
They are fast. That's what I always astounds me in the Olympics, is just how fast you are actually going. Are there others that stood out to you?
I think the ones that I had expected to be on this list were interval walking and going uphill, because when I think of making my walk more intense, those are the ways that I think about doing it. So I do think that those were the most expected for me, but there were definitely some surprises on this list and definitely some ideas that I'm looking forward to trying.
I agree. And one of those to start is going to be nasal breathing. I was told I need to start doing that more, but I didn't think about incorporating that into my walks. So I'm going to have to think about that one too going forward.
There's a thought. Popped up while running.
I think I'm really starting to push it here because this is supposed to be running pop-ups, and then I started doing biking pop-ups and then walking pop-ups. I think I did a bus pop-up. How about standing at the window having a coffee pop-up? Is that stretching it too far? We're really lucky because we back onto a park, and I didn't expect how much I would enjoy seeing animal life. And I would have thought of birds and stuff like that, but there's a lot of squirrels in our backyard and a few chipmunks. And for some reason, I love seeing squirrels running by and jumping from tree to tree or running along our fence or whatever they happen to do. And lately, I've had this kind of good, kind of warmish feeling because of something else that's happened. I can't remember how long ago, let's say 5, 6, 7 years, I had told Sheila that I really liked the idea of blossoms. And so she'd bought me a crabapple tree and planted it in the backyard, very small. And it blossoms for a very short time every spring. And I really savor that. I love watching them when it's only for like maybe a day that they're really at the most intense color of pink and are really fresh and so fleeting. And it reminds me to live life in every breath. Never occurred to me about the crab apples themselves. So that's one side of it. We've got this crabapple tree, and over time it's gotten bigger, and now there's quite a few crab apples that grow. Another side to it was we have a pool, and I would look outside with my coffee, and I would notice squirrels on really hot days trying to drink from the pool itself. And our pool is an ozone pool, so there's not much chlorine in it. So maybe there was little enough chlorine that they weren't totally offended, but I was a bit concerned. So then I looked on the internet and said, hey, what's going on? What can you do? And it said, you can always just put a little water container for the animals, and then they probably won't drink in your pool. So we just happened to have an extra base for a flower pot that was broken, a nice big base. So I threw it underneath a chaise lounge beside the pool, and Sheila keeps putting water in it. She's the one who tends to water the plants and be outside. So here I am having my coffee. Beautiful day. And there's a squirrel in the crabapple tree, and he's grabbing a crabapple and eating it and moving on to the next. And that's great to see, because had we not planted that tree, there wouldn't be food for that squirrel. And then waiting in the wings, another squirrel comes up, goes underneath the chaise lounge, starts to have a nice drink. And I'm just like, wow, it's like a little bit of being one with nature, but I just love watching the animals living their lives in the backyard. It's me.
Yeah. Just let me say, flip side of the coin.
We are at our condo, and we are coming up the stairs to do a few flip sides. And I had to laugh because Sheila's idea of chill is a lot different than my idea of chill, because she's like, this is so great. We're just like so chill this weekend.
Yeah, I was sitting there playing my game. We were listening to music, and I was like, this is so great. It's so chilled here. Making our dinner and making bread and doing this and going swimming and working out.
Exactly.
So
like,
chilled.
My idea of chill is like actually not having anything planned and just kind of sitting around. And, oh, you grab this, you grab that. Sheila's idea of chill is, hey, we sat here for like 5 minutes. Great. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do flip sides. Okay. What are we going to do? Let's get 4 topics.
Let's do 100 flip sides. Let's go.
Okay. I'm like, okay, well, that makes some sense. We can talk about topics. All right, we got him. Let's go. And like, and then she says, this is so great. It's chill. And by the way, that's after this morning when she gets up saying, all right, what's the plan for today? I'm going to go to the gym and we're going to do this. And when are you going to meet me there?
Two different ideas of chill.
Well, I think the reason why I think it's chill is just because we don't have anything really scheduled. I mean, we do, but it's very smooth and just kind of go with the flow. But yeah, for me, chilling isn't literally doing nothing. I have to continually be doing something, thinking about doing something, and then doing something and doing more things.
I don't think that for you, my idea of chill would be chill.
No, I
think it would be torture.
That would be torture. I know. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Yeah, your idea of chill would probably kill me.
Why? Because you'd be bored?
Like, you know, in the Eat, Pray, Love, when she's talking about meditating and how she can't meditate and it's like driving her crazy. That's what I think your chill would do to me.
It would drive you crazy. Oh, right. Because you're kind of like in meditating. So meditating, I'm going to try it. And I assume it's going to be really hard for me to stop the spinning on my mind.
I think it is.
But what you're saying is like physically you have that. Like
physically
you've got to keep moving and spinning.
Yeah.
You don't like being still.
I can't like sit still.
I think you need meditation more than me.
No, you definitely need meditation more than me.
Why?
Because you can't stop thinking.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? Sometimes I think that's a good thing. Why does everyone say that's a bad
Sometimes
thing?
you think that's a good thing. Well, just because you overthink things. Like you think and think and think, and then you think of when you don't have anything to think about, you think about other things that you want to do and how you want to think about that. And then you start doing all these crazy plans. And I don't know, to me, when you think too much about things, then it's just really hard to get it done.
Well, if you think, and because you keep thinking you don't do, I think you're right. But I think if you think a lot about stuff and then you let it percolate, you know, especially if you have a bit of downtime, it all comes together like on a run or something like that. So not sure. And then you get it done. And you get it done efficiently.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, if you think about it, you get it done more efficiently. But for me, sometimes if I overthink things, then I'm not happy with the concept that came once I did it. Because my expectations, my thoughts, the expectation that I had in my head of how it was going to happen isn't at all what actually happened. And so then I'm disappointed. So let me explain, like I'll give you an explanation. So sometimes when you do choreography, you pre-choreograph. You have to do that a lot when you have groups. But when you're doing a solo, you get the song and then you're thinking about the choreography and you're doing all this stuff and then you go to teach it and it looks horrible on the student.
Right.
And they're right. Cause what looks good on you doesn't look good on them. And then or they can't do it, or it's just really disappointing. And so you're just, oh, that's a drag.
Okay. So that means that idea didn't work out, but lots of them do work out.
Yeah. So that doesn't bother you when you overthink things and they don't end up working out. I just prefer not to think about it, just to do it. And then it turns out great because I didn't like plan really. I didn't have any preset expectations. So what turns out is at the time is what it is.
A lot of stuff you're talking about is physical. A lot of stuff I think a lot about isn't. It's ideas and concepts and trying to pull concepts together or coming up with an argument for a case and all that kind of stuff. In which case it's not an activity. It's brainstorming.
Yeah. But I think choreography is brainstorming too. But I guess your brainstorming is it isn't actually a set plan.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to sometime this week get a dictionary and look up the word chill. And I bet you it's closer to my concept of chill than yours.
I don't think I'll take that bet.
Please remember that we're not providing advice. We hope to inspire you to work towards balance, and we urge you to consult with qualified people if you need advice. The people on the show are speaking in their personal capacities. Their views expressed are their own, and don't represent the views or opinions of their outside contacts, their employers, or anyone else. We try to get things right, but we can't guarantee everything we say is correct, or that the things we talk about will work for you. Let's be well together, and let's be sure to do that in a safe way.
And it's sign-off time. It's Elise here with John and Sheila.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, we are getting closer and closer to Christmas.
Yes, we are.
I guess you can say that now.
Yeah, because it was Santa Claus parades this weekend.
No way.
Yes. Yeah. Quite a few towns had.
We had our Santa Claus parade up in Owen Sound. So I thought it was about time to put up my Christmas decorations. And that was definitely the highlight of my week. And then moving forward this week, I have a really busy work week because I have parent-teacher interviews. So that always takes a lot of time just to prepare myself for them and then make sure that I have all the materials ready. And then the meetings themselves are after school hours. So I think it'll be a busy work week. So trying just to keep up with my workout routine as well as that.
I was going to make a joke about, how intense these interviews are. Will I get into grade 1? How will that go? But I'm actually, now that I think of it, it might be the first experience for a lot of parents.
Yes.
So maybe
Lots of questions.
Maybe I
Yes.
shouldn't be so facetious.
Well, that'll be my week. We'll see how it goes. How about you, Sheila?
Well, I had a great week. It was beautiful weather. So I actually started putting my Christmas decorations up last week, and I just did it slowly this year. So like every day I did a little bit more. And on the weekend, I put all my outdoor lights on and the outdoor stuff. So I am ready for Christmas. I actually bought my turkey today. So that's how ready I am. But I did want to say that you were doing a What's on Your Mind with Julie last week, and you were talking about acts of kindness. That's what they're called. And I was listening to them going, oh, that's a great idea. And it reminded me of an advent calendar where you every day open up a little present or something. And I was thinking every day I'm going to do an act of kindness. So you guys inspired me. So I thought I'd say that. That was very interesting and very easy. An easy thing to do just to help with your overall wellness. So that is what's new with me. What about you, John?
I can't remember how much in advance does the advent calendar start. So how many acts will that be?
It's about a month, 30 days.
Okay.
Approximately, yeah. So maybe starting December 1st, I will do an act of kindness and make it an actual goal. Like set it that I'm going to talk to a neighbor or help an old person or whatever, kind of pull one from a hat and do that. So that is my goal.
As I predicted last week, it was a really busy week at work. It seemed like not only did I have a lot to do work-wise, but I had lunch meetings or lunch appointments. And then after work events and podcast interviews. And it finally got to a point on Thursday night, Thursday during the day, I said to Sheila, thank goodness I'm done. Like I really need tonight to just chill. I'm exhausted. And Sheila said, you've got Feast of the Senses tonight at the KW Art Gallery. Sheila had to work. So I went to that on my own. And even though I was tired, it was amazing. We had an amazing chef, indigenous chef, and she had a lot of really interesting stories and information about the food she prepared. And as usual, it's just so amazing to see the art, to see the different installations, and then pair that with food and wine. A great night. And I finally did get to the weekend, and I tried to take it a bit easy. So and tonight we're doing this on a Sunday night. So the work week starts tomorrow morning. And like last time, I'm going to try and go to bed early, get a really nice, good night's sleep, and see if I can't slog through another busy week. That's it for me.
You can do it.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for listening into our show. We hope you enjoyed it, and will join us again next week.
That is it for today's show. Please try and make wellness a priority.
You deserve it.
If you feel the need to talk to someone or ask for help, please do that.
Accept yourself for the person you are.
So long.
Adieu.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.